Now that I have a projected texture, I can use the Artisan Organic tool set, tool brushes, to go ahead and shape this to my proposed landform. Now, if you remember, we actually have a very coarse geometry in here with Artisan. I'm also going to keep this in the group, so I'm double clicking on that group, had my hidden geometry turned on. I can now double click again so I know I'm inside the group with the terrain. And I'm going to go ahead and start adding some more detail to the areas that I know I'm going to need to grade. This is one of the paths here I can see as a design. I really want to make sure that that path is not sitting on a cross slope like that. I want to shape this in a much better, more meaningful way for my surface. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Artisan tools here and actually go ahead and paint out. I'll just make a bigger brush here because this whole area needs a lot more definition as I work with this piece. So I'll just go ahead and paint this out where I'm going to need more definition. This I'm not going to do the switchback right now. I'm going to just work on that one path. So I'll just paint out the blocks that I need more definition on. I'll just go ahead and paint it a little further out here. So now I have a lot more, and I'm going to use the subdivide command here and actually subdivide it some more. I can click on that again and actually make it even further. And so now I have more definition to start shaping those paths. When you do the subdivide command, it actually goes back to its default surface, and you don't have that texture anymore. So what I'm going to do is actually turn back off the hidden geometry, pick up my paint bucket, which still has that projected texture in the paint bucket. I'm just going to paint it back on. Go back to my view, hidden geometry, and now I can see there's more geometry now that I can work with as I select that path. And if you want more resolution, you can actually subdivide more, but I think this is pretty good. I subdivided it twice. I'll take the selection tool again. This time I'll actually make that selection smaller using the left and right arrow keys. And I'll just go ahead and select in this area here. And I just want to work out one detail. Select out that area. And if I think that this is actually a pretty good grade at the top and it's a pretty good grade at the bottom, what I can do is just use the planar tool here, make planar, and choose the best option. What the best option is going to do is actually make it level down that surface and be flat on top. Hit OK. And what that just did is it should have, well, it's actually making it planar in that direction. It makes it smoother along that run, but it doesn't make the cross slope smoother yet. And to make that cross slope smoother, on both slopes, I can't really take the selection tool here in the Artisan. I can't take the selection tool and actually make that planar in that horizontal direction or the cross slope direction. What I need to do is sculpt it. If this was one direction all the way straight, I can actually once it's selected, I can use the rotate tool, take the rotate tool and move it. If it was in the direction, I can move my UCS and it kind of twist that around. You can twist that surface, but this is not staying flat in my direction. So I'm actually just I'm going to use the sculpt tools here, make the brush really small, and just actually tweak it. I'm going to pull it down on this side, just go ahead and draw along this line to make it lower. If you want more detail, you can make it more detail. And I can also draw along the other line in the other direction. What that's doing, it's starting to shape that up. Again, you may want to add more resolution or more detail to it by subdividing it more. I'll pull this one down, go the other direction. Something I didn't show is on my Artisan tools. My Artisan tools is set to auto sculpt. That makes it really smooth. And then I'll go in here and kind of shape it. Look at this thing. Need to bring it up on this side. I'll just shape it a little bit over here. I like drawing along these lines. If I could draw along that line, it actually makes it smoother. So I see the way the tin's being formed. It kind of gives me a little bit more definition to it. And I'll just work it out all the way along this path, twisting it around, start shaping it up, and maybe I'll bring it back down on this side. You can draw long lines, or you can actually have selected faces, however you want to work that tool. But now it's actually starting to get pretty good. It still has some cross slope in there, which is what you want. You want that water to run off. Now we're not doing construction drawings in this class, so we don't actually have to have this perfect, but we want that surface to respect that we are making changes there. We'll come back up here. Now because I did that planar thing first, you see it actually made this little kind of ripple. And I don't know what that selection tool did there, but we actually now have to repair that ripple that was just made. It's kind of like almost like bubbles that were formed there. We'll just move those back down. And you'll go through here and just shape. Kind of look, you have to keep spinning around and looking at this surface. And we will go through this entire model, this entire design, and shape it out the way you need it to work. If you need to add more definition, that's actually looking pretty good, by the way. It's pretty flat up there. And as I run along that slope here, this could be brought down a little bit more. Whoa, too much. Can be a bit, it's not such a cross slope there. Bring it back in the other direction. Artisan tools kind of showing us a really big change here. Have the arrow down. I don't want it to be very high. I actually work with this tool with the not a lot of intensity on there. That's actually a lot of intensity just now, but you can see I'm shaping that. That's now a flatter surface, right? You'll kind of work your way all around these paths, shaping both sides of those paths. The other direction here. Certainly tedious. Again, the goal is not to get construction drawings on here. The goal is actually make this more realistic. And you can see that this is now more realistic right above this amphitheater here. I could also go in there and maybe the design is not to have that path. Maybe the design is actually have a little more slope above the amphitheater. So we're actually so water's not running down it. I know the amphitheater on this design is actually changing, but I'm going to show it the way this has been designed. And so maybe I'll actually add some slope above it. I'll go through here. I can work with the parking lot. The parking lot is more of a planar surface. I can select all of this parking lot and then make it planar. And that's taking the same process of selecting all this information, or all this area. If this is supposed to be a flat parking lot. Again, the make planar, actually this is not, I know this is supposed to go down behind everything, so we actually don't want that. Holding the shift key down, we'll actually deselect that selection. So I'm only going to take it to here. I'm just going to make sure only the parking lot, I'm only looking at the parking lot edge, is selected. I'll take that edge of the parking lot here. There'll probably be some fixing that needs to be between these two areas. Up between these, I don't know what's happening. Actually, these are all relatively level up there. This drop-off area we'll make clean. Hold the shift key down, get rid of that selection I just made. All right, I don't want to take a lot of your time here. The idea is that we're just making this smoother. And I just messed that up. Grab those out, reselect that in. All right. This area here is going to get more detailed later, but let's go ahead and make that planar, make that best. And what that did is it just adjusted that whole parking lot, so that parking lot is now a little bit more flat. And now we can, we'll be able to slice into this model a little bit better when we actually start adding our detail. If this is supposed to be kind of a bifurcated section down here, we'll go ahead and take that selection tool again in here. I'll select that area up. I'll just do it to this one area here so you see how the detail can get refined in this area. I'll just add that, go ahead and subdivide those. And in this type, I don't want to do more subdivision on those, but I do want to do more subdivision here. So I'll take the selection and only subdivide, reduce my brush size. I only want to subdivide the ones that need to be subdivided. Up further here, that's already pretty well subdivided. So I'll go and select all of those again. Yes, I selected outside of here. I'll go and subdivide that again. And now I have more resolution. Again, I'll turn my hidden geometry off, take the paint bucket tool, paint it back in, turn the hidden geometry on, and now I'm going to go and actually sculpt this a little bit more. And so I'll take the sculpt brush. I can try the planer tool again. In this case, I'll just take the sculpt brush, go inside this group. I know I'm inside the group, and I'll take the sculpt brush in here. If the sculpt doesn't work, then you know you're not inside that group, and I'll just go and bring this side down. All right, I'll just start shaping this. Need a little more intensity here. Shape that down on this side. And just kind of like working with clay. Right, that's not too bad. We got some weirdness happening over here. And you'll shape that down. This is the area that's supposed to be picking up that grade between that upper parking lot and that lower path. And I'll go ahead and drop the intensity down, just shape that just a little bit. Maybe I actually want this to be deeper on this side of it. And you'll work with those areas, right? Just shape that land the way you want that land to be. This looks like it needs to come back up over here. So I'll just shape that up over here. Just clicking on it once, just pull it up. It's kind of tearing up on that surface. There we go. You can start seeing it's coming together. Now this is going to take some time. It's going to take some time to actually refine what this is going to look like. You may actually start finding out that it's not realistic. Maybe those lines that you drew aren't quite realistic on what or feasible on what you're hoping to accomplish here. And that's also part of this challenge, is actually regrading this and seeing what design actually works. This looks like it may need stairs. If that gets really steep in that area, it may need some steps. I'll see a little weird spot there. Shape it down. Okay, once you have those kind of working out, and you'll work out all those paths, and you don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, because after all, most surfaces are going to be throwaways as you do iterative designs. I know you're working on your final designs at this point, but you don't want to spend hours and hours and hours cleaning up the surface. You just kind of want to run through there and actually get that landform working as best you can for the representation that you need. Again, this is not a construction document. This is just a representation of your final design.